All right, give me a second to make sure that my thing is public real quick. I always have to do that because it doesn't do that online. One second. All right, let's get to it. Day number 2, wild card weekend. We got 3 good games today. We get the first one out the way that is going to come up at 1 o'clock. We got a rematch of last year's divisional playoff game between the Ravens and the Titans. And we know the last 2 times the Titans have matched up with the Ravens, it hasn't been really friendly for the Ravens, honestly, because Derrick Henry's had a field day. But Baltimore's been hot as of late. They've won the last 5 games. They were 6-5, and I know we were having this conversation at one point in time that the Ravens were on the verge of missing the playoffs, but they just seem to have gotten it together. But they will be headed to Tennessee to try to avenge a bad postseason loss last year. They actually lost. That may have been their last loss of the year because Derrick Henry beat them in overtime on a run in Baltimore. So they definitely played better the second last back in November. They played better. But for me, I hit a couple of notes for the Ravens in regards to this game. One of the biggest keys for them to win today, they got to start fast. In last year's playoff game, which was in Baltimore, and even in the previous matchup a couple months ago, the Ravens have an issue with starting slow, especially Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson tends to start very slow in postseason games because even when they lost to the Chargers 2 seasons ago, he started slow and then he started started rallying to get back into the football game. But it was so bad at that point where even you playing from behind, catching up into the game, you've already done enough damage to lose the football game early. So the Ravens got to start fast. It's not even so much of 14-0 fast. You just need to get on the board early. You need to make some type of pressure to where the Titans don't feel like they're not playing with the lead, because that's the biggest thing for the Ravens. They got to get going on offense to start the game. You cannot start slow and think you're going to win in Nashville. One of my other points for them is the obvious point. You got to find a way to contain Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has destroyed this team the last 2 matchups that they've played. You got to slow him down. And honestly, I think the Ravens have a better chance of slowing him down this time around because you got Calais Campbell back, you got Brandon Williams. The Ravens should definitely have a better plan in motion to stop Derrick Henry. To me, if you're gonna win this football game, you got to make Ryan Tannehill win the game for the Titans. Do not leave it in Derrick Henry's hands to win that football game, because if you do, you're gonna lose the game. Because one thing about Derrick Henry, once he gets in a groove, it is hard to stop him. So Baltimore has no choice but to get going. Just to get going, they got to get that run defense intact today. And they're not going to win this game if they don't. Another point I mentioned about today's game, you got to control the line of scrimmage. As I was just mentioning a few minutes ago, you got the defensive line to stop this team. They got the defensive line to make something happen in this football game. They cannot go into this game struggling to slow down Derrick Henry. If you give the Titans the chance to control the game flow, the momentum of this football game, Baltimore's going home early again. As far as the Titans, on the flip side, keep feeding Derrick Henry. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If the Ravens are not going to stop this guy, keep feeding him, because they have struggled to do it. You got probably the best running back in football on your team. Feed him. If they start to slow it down, mix it up. But until they figure out a way to stop him, I'm feeding the rock. Another thing is Tannehill cannot be afraid to throw that football today. You got good, solid receivers in Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. At least make them somewhat productive. Don't just be Derrick Henry based. You got to be balanced. Even in the playoff game last year, when they won. He hit a couple of big plays downfield. Hit the play to Jonnu Smith. He hit a touchdown, I think, to Khalif Raven, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he hit a couple of big plays in that game, not just Derrick Henry based. But you got to get that going as well. Because if you don't because Baltimore's going to come into this game to say, make Ryan Tannehill beat us. So you got paid all that money this offseason. You got to go out here and do a job. Make the job happen. All right. My next point for the Titans is control the clock. The Titans the Titans have the second best rushing attack in the regular season. They were also number 7 in yards, number 3 in yards per carry, and number 2 in points. They also was a top 10 team in controlling the clock. When they beat the Ravens in Baltimore, they held the ball for 34 minutes. Control that clock. You got the running back to do it. Control that clock. There's no reason for you not to control the clock in this football game. Keep Lamar off the field. That's one thing also. Keep that offense off the field. You control it. You're at home. You're getting a chance to do it at home this time around. So you got an opportunity to make a stand today. My personal opinion, I think the Ravens will play this game close, but I'm picking the Titans to win 27-20. I think it's going to be a good game. But I also feel that until I see a solution for them to slow down Derrick Henry, I cannot pick them to win this game, not just yet. Baltimore has looked better as of recent, but I need to see Lamar step up and play a great game today. He has not had the best playoff games. He needs to step up and make something happen today. Okay, stepping to the second game that I want to talk about is Bears Saints. New Orleans is entering this. New Orleans is actually getting a little healthier. They're going to have Michael Thomas back. Kamara's off the COVID-19 list, so he'll be playing today. The Saints probably are the healthiest they've been all season. So this should be it favors them to win this game, but for the Bears, if the Bears are going to win this football game, Mitch Trubisky's going to have to play like a competent quarterback. You're going to have to be efficient because New Orleans is one of the best run defenses in this league. David Montgomery has been having a pretty good last couple of weeks, but this is New Orleans. New Orleans has actually done really well against the run this year. You cannot go out there making a slow run or anything. Give me a second. I don't think I made it public. 1 second, everyone, because I don't see some of the comments. Okay, yeah, I didn't have it public. Okay, I see the comments now. Jonathan Park said he's gonna get his regardless. You are absolutely right. They're gonna have a hard time stopping Derrick Henry today. So to me, feed him. You go back. I'm going back for a second because I want to answer that comment. I didn't want to ignore that comment. But yeah, Derrick Henry's gonna get his regardless. You got to make something happen to slow him down, or it's gonna be a long day for the Ravens. But back to the Saints game again. You got to get that running game going if you're the Bears. You got to find a way to get that game going, actually. Because if you do not find a way to move that ball, New Orleans is going to have a field day at home. The Bears have been a little bit – last week against Green Bay, I didn't like how they played. The Bears was trying to be a little bold in that game. They were going for it on fourth down, had no business going for it. You cannot make those mistakes in New Orleans. If you're going to pull off an upset in New Orleans, that offense has to move the ball. Because New Orleans entering this game is number 4 in yards allowed rushing this year. They're number 2 actually, in rushing touchdowns allowed, and they're number 4 in yards per carry. You don't run the ball on the Saints. Plain and simple. You got to get it going today, or this is going to be a long football game for the Bears. Let me get to the comments. Marcel said, great analysis. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And Terry Arter said, what's up, man? What's going on, man? But yeah, another thing. For the Bears, you got to force Drew Brees into mistakes. In the last 2 playoff losses, which is Minnesota, last year's game, Taysom Hill got the Saints back in that football game. Drew Brees played awful. Against the Rams, he didn't do enough to close them out. Yes, they had the horrible PI call, but they also didn't do enough. He had an interception in overtime, and they lost that trip to the Super Bowl. That was probably, in most people's opinions, their best shot of going back under the Drew Brees era. This is it for them. But overall, you got Khalil Mack in that pass rush. You got to get to Drew Brees today. You got to pressure Drew Brees, because if Drew Brees have time, he got Michael Thomas back today. You got Alvin Kamara back today. The bread and butter of that offense is back for the first time all in weeks, and they're healthy. You got to make something happen today if you're going to win this game, if you're the Bears. Let's see the comments. Reggie said, great job, Nate. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. Terror Artist said, Mitch gonna have to be that dude today. Yes, he is. If he's going to prove to people that he was worth that number 2 pick, today's that day. Do I see it? No. But he's going to have to do it. Reggie said that the Saints going to win by 20 today. It wouldn't shock me if the Bears come out flat. This game could get turned into a rout quick. Also for the Bears, control the clock. If you can find a way to get David Montgomery going, that favors you. Tire that team down. Because if you don't tire that team down and they get a chance to get going, no, the Superdome don't have the home field advantage like we've been used to. To be honest with you, if this was a non-COVID atmosphere, they wouldn't stand a chance today, just being honest. But with anything can happen on the road in the playoffs, it's not the same atmosphere due to everything that's going on. But again, they got to figure out a way to get David Montgomery going. Unfortunately, they lost Tariq Cohen in the game against us back in week 3. This would have been a game for them to have that running attack going. To be honest with you, they need to try to find a way to get Cordero Patterson going today. You gotta mix it up. You gotta figure out a way to slow down that rushing attack. Because if they do get going, it's gonna be a long day in that Superdome. Let's see. Jordan Chapman said, great job, bro. I appreciate that. Reggie said, great point. I appreciate that. As for New Orleans, control the line of scrimmage also. Khalil Mack cannot have a field day in that backfield, or you lose this football game. Drew Brees is not the same Drew Brees from 2-3 years ago. If you put pressure on Drew Brees, he will give you an interception at least. If you've been watching, and this is not just us coming from being a Falcon fan in general, if you pressure Drew Brees, he will give you a mistake in that football game. That's why it is imperative for New Orleans offensive line to show up today and keep Khalil Mack at bay. You cannot let that man get in that backfield and get after Drew Brees if you're going to win this football game. That can't happen. He got to be ineffective more than anything. Also, my other point is feed Thomas and Kamara. That's your bread and butter. You got them back. Feed your guys today. Kamara is probably the most dangerous player in the NFC right now in these postseason, because you really don't have a way to game plan for him. He can kill you in the passing game. He can kill you on that ground. We've seen what he can do. Kamara is a threat. They got to figure out a way to keep him at bay in this game. Let's get to the comments. Tyrone said, what's going on, bro? I know you're excited about the Saints in 4 o'clock today. Daryl Tober said, I like the Saints. So do I. Have the Saints winning this game as well. Terror Artist said, Akeem Hicks going to have to help Khalil Mack and get in that backfield. Yes, he is. This is going to be a big day for that defensive line to pressure the Saints. You got to do it. My other thing for them, that defense has improved this year for New Orleans. Get Mitch Trubisky rattled. Keep that team off the field. One thing about a defense, I don't care how good you are on defense, once you get tired, you have a horrible chance of hanging in a football game. Let's see. Chris Williams said, I like the Bears by 3. That'd be an intriguing upset. And with that being said, my prediction is that the Saints will win 27-17. I think the Bears will try to keep up into this game, but I don't think they have enough to slow down Kamara. I know that Roquan Smith is out today. That's a big loss for the Bears defense. So they're going to need him. They're going to need him today. I do want to go back and tap into yesterday's game. Oh, let's see. Before I get into that, Tyrone said their defense has to ball out. Yes, that defense is going to have to force Mitch Trubisky to be the Mitch Trubisky that got benched for Nick Foles early in the year. That's what they're going to have to do to win this football game. But yeah, I have the Saints winning by 10 tonight. I have them winning 27-17. I'll get to the Pittsburgh game in a moment. But as far as yesterday, let me ask you that are on here, was there any surprises to you yesterday? Me personally, I did not. I talked about the Rams defense being as good as they are, but I definitely did not think that Rams defense was going to show up. I didn't think it. I didn't think the Rams defense had enough to go into Seattle and pull that upset. I thought Seattle would do enough to hold them off. But I got to give it to Cam Akers, and that rushing attack showed up. To be honest, as crazy as it sounds, that Jamal Adams hit was lethal, but it might have hurt them because Jared Goff came back in the game. That offense got going. They turned the tide quick, and that was probably Russ's worst playoff game I've seen in his career. But also, Seattle has a terrible offensive line. That's going to be something they're going to have to address in either the offseason or draft, because I don't know if a lot of you remember, they don't have a first-round pick. The Jets have their pick because of the Jamal Adams trade. So they got to really get to work on that offensive line. Let's see. Going back to the comments, Chris Williams says Saints by 10. That's what I have too. I think the Bears will hang in there. I just don't see them having enough. Reggie said Mitch is trash. I think a lot of us probably feel that way on these comments as well. And he also said, I can't believe the Rams won yesterday. Neither could I. Honestly, Seattle was my dark horse Super Bowl pick to come out of the NFC. So it shocked me to see them lose. As far as the Bills and the Colts, that was actually a pretty good game. It was actually a pretty good game. The Colts got a decent running game going, but I'll tell anybody, the Colts lost that game when they did not take the points up 10-7 when they had an opportunity to maybe go up 10. Take the points. It's the playoffs. It's the postseason. You were giving them problems. You knew you wanted to be able to contain Josh Allen, who, by the way, let me throw this out here. Josh Allen has really starting to come into his own. Maybe, and I know this could be just this season. I just want to continue to see him progress. But that Bills squad is very, very good. And it's going to be intriguing to see who they end up facing, because it's like they're going to get the winner of we know they're going to get either get the winner of Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And I'm intrigued to see how that's going to play out. Terra Artist says that Sean McVay is he's one of the best offensive play calls. Yes, he is, because that was a great game plan. And the thing was, there was nothing the Seahawks could do about it. He was just that good calling plays. Tyrone said the Seahawks blew it. They did. Corey said the Bills should have lost. To be honest, I thought when they were dropping, I'm like, oh man, are they about? You cannot. Don't be a Falcons. Don't be the Falcons today. Please don't. Definitely not. But let's see. That's definitely, yeah, you're right, Nate. Terra said, as far as tonight, he got the Browns winning that game. I'm going to be intrigued to see how that plays out tonight, because, they barely beat them without Big Ben. So I'm just intrigued to see how that's going to play out tonight. I don't know. Let's see. Reggie said my Steelers going to win today. I'm intrigued for that matchup. Me personally, I got them winning close. I got the Steelers winning close because of their defense at home, but who knows? Could see something different. Tyrone Washington said that he was rooting for the Redskins, thought they had it. They have a good They actually, let me go ahead and salute Taylor Heineke, who used to be the Panthers' backup quarterback. I know a lot of you probably remember him a couple years ago when Cam got hurt. He played he actually played us. I want to say twice, but he actually played well. They competed better than I thought they would. They hung in there. And that team is on the rise. If they can go get some talent on offense, they could be a problem in the near future. That's definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing. What do they do with that team? Let's see. Chris said like the Falcons by 50. Oh my God, I'm so glad we'll have to deal with them today. Reggie said, "Don't mention the Falcons, please." I'm just saying that was a typical. They were trying to blow that game. That's the only reason I said that. But Reggie said, "Salute to the football team." Yes, they're definitely on the rise. I hope they don't go out and make any idiotic decisions because that team is headed in the right direction. I hope to see them really address that draft this year. And that's let's see. Tyrone Washington said the Redskins will be a problem if they get Watson. That would be an intriguing move. They do need to get a quarterback in this draft. But also, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to today's games. I think that next week, and I'm intrigued to see how this plays out in regards to next week. Because if the Saints win today, we're gonna get Saints Bucks next week. And that I think will be a great, great matchup. That's another thing. It looked like we're gonna possibly get the Rams. Let's see. Uh, Chris Williams said Washington needs a team nickname first in the quarterback. That's true. They do need a team nickname. But yeah, I definitely agree that hold on, I want to read this. Corey Whitehead said Zach Wilson to Washington. Are you saying they're gonna trade up? Because personally speaking, they got Zach Wilson going top 4 and 5. Unless you're thinking that the Falcons may bypass a quarterback in this draft, they definitely got him in the top 4, unless he's going to trade up. But yeah, it's definitely going to be intriguing to see how these matchups look. It looks like it's going to be, unless the Bears pull the upset, we might get Rams Packers, and that should be intriguing to see how that defense do at Green Bay, who is my pick to come out the NFC to go to the Super Bowl. And then we're gonna probably get Saints Bucks. That should be fun. If New Orleans wins today, that should be a fun. That's gonna be. I hope that's the primetime matchup next week because Saints Bucks. That's gonna be probably the final time. I'm sure Drew Brees is gonna retire next. I'm sure Drew Brees is gonna retire this year. So I would love to see who come out of that game. Reggie got Tampa and Green Bay in the NFC Championship game. That would be an intriguing matchup to see who goes to the Super Bowl. Tyrone said negative. I figured he would say that, But I don't know. It just depends on. It really just depends on what the Saints. The Saints have the talent to go deep in the NFC, but New Orleans tend to sometimes not show up when it matters. So I guess we'll see. Chris Williams got Trey Lance to Washington. That would be a good fit for them. You don't have to jump too high to go get them or anything. Terror Artist 404 said they better pass by a quarterback. My Falcons knowing oh my goodness. You're going to see me rant on here if we take a wide receiver first. You will absolutely see me go off if that happens. Tyrone said, who that? Oh my God. Reggie said Justin Fields to the Falcons. Who knows? We're at 4. I think he's going to be off the board at 2, but we'll see. But that's all I got for right now. I'm looking forward to seeing what today's game turned out to look like. Again, my picks were that the Titans win at home, the Saints win at home, and the Steelers win close. But I will be back on here later this evening and talk about at least the first 2 games before we get the primetime game. Until then, I will talk to you guys later.